You don't want to miss this epic rant, although no one wants to admit it. The left seems more divided than ever post-election. Different factions are pushing widely different agendas. Progressives are calling for one thing, moderates another, and they're blaming everyone for their historic sweep. Enter Bill Maher, who came in swinging and chose to obliterate everyone. From identity politics to how Kamala chose to run her campaign, he left no stone unturned. You definitely want to stick around to the very end because you won't believe what he said about the lack of policy proposals. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
Okay, and finally, new rule. Someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you f***ed in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it. Yeah, I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You're the teachers' union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person.
The left's inability to self-reflect comes from their refusal to climb down from the moral high ground even when reality is staring them in the face. They've built their entire worldview on a foundation of moral superiority. Quote, we're the good guys and anyone who disagrees is evil. That's why policies championed by them may sound great in a post on X or on protest sign, but in practice, they crumble. From failed foreign policies to disastrous economic initiatives, the evidence is everywhere. But what happens when these policies don't work or their rhetoric alienates everyday people? Instead of reevaluating, they double down, blaming everyone else for their failure. Watch a few clips of the endless meltdowns we were blessed to witness after the elections. You can see this type of mentality. Their mistake is continuing to ask, how could you vote for the other side, rather than what did we not understand about American voters? Clinging to the moral high ground may feel righteous, but it does nothing but blind them to the practical realities on the ground. And here is a thing about reality. It's got a funny way of humbling even the most self-assured ideologues. Bill also shared some interesting statistics that show how off-mark the left was.
You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit. Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. They live here. And they actually see women and people of color. And it doesn't look like some patriarchal racist nightmare. Do problems remain pertaining to racism and sexism? Of course. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. The votes are in. They don't want your pity.
Yep, the woke left is so caught up in playing the victim that sometimes they outdo the actual victims themselves. It's like they've made victimhood their brand, constantly finding new ways to insert themselves into issues that don't even involve them. But here's the thing, their aim's not really about helping anyone, it's about saying, look at me, I'm such a good person, I care about everything in the world. Instead of focusing on real solutions, they've made such issues a weird competition. They'll find a cause, amplify it, and somehow manage to make it about their own feelings. It's really all show, no substance, and it has cost them big time. Tommy McDonald, who is a political strategist who worked with Democrats and independents before, sums it up best by saying, quote, a party based on championing and identifying with the working class can run and win everywhere, adding, quote, a party based on championing and identifying with subgroups cannot win everywhere and even does worse with the subgroups they rightfully champion. And that's exactly what happened as Trump improved with every minority group when compared to previous elections. Fun fact, Tommy worked with Don Osborne's campaign, who ran as an independent for the Senate seat in Nebraska. Although he lost the race, Don performed better than Harris in the state by 14 percentage points. The only difference is that Don ran ads against the system, as he likes to put it, was not against Trump's border wall and was a previous union leader, so it's interesting how people found the guy more appealing than Kamala. Speaking of her, Bill had a few words criticizing her message, and he didn't hold back.
Kamala spent 100 days telling voters, I know it feels like crime and illegal immigration are bad, but f*** your feelings. Look at this chart. Yes, There's a lot to not like already about the new regime, but maybe take 1 week to ask what you did wrong. The basis for Democratic campaigns has become, we're the smart people. That we know from the get-go. No need to look into that. We know that a priori, which is a Latin phrase the Red Hat people wouldn't have a clue about. But they don't need to. Have you seen my "In This House We Believe" lawn sign? See, it says right on it, we believe in science. Right, which is why you demanded no one even debate whether COVID could have escaped from the one lab in the one city where they were studying it. How far-fetched. The New York Times called it racist.
Boom, boom, boom! Shots fired, my friends. Jokes aside, though, the Democrats' inability to digest the loss or self-reflect is nothing new because they're so used to talking down to people that any outcome not in their favor is labeled as ignorance or America's not ready. It's never about flawed candidates or policies, it's always your fault. Take, for example, Kamala skipping an opportunity to appear on the Joe Rogan Experience. Mike Nellis, who is a former campaign advisor to Harris, said in an interview, quote, "Rogan's missing out on an opportunity to go full mainstream by sitting down with Harris."
He's a comedian. Oh, God.
Yeah, that's a real quote. You know, the Joe Rogan, who's the biggest show on earth right now? Drop a like if you think Mike qualifies for Delusional Person of the Century Award. Jennifer Palmieri, who is a senior advisor to Kamala's husband, recently revealed that the reason it didn't happen was because, quote, "There was a backlash with some of our progressive staff that didn't want her to be on it, and how there would be a backlash." These are the same people who figured a few carefully crafted sound bites on MSNBC or 60 Minutes would do the trick. Meanwhile, Trump and JD Vance went on a ton of podcasts sitting down for long, unfiltered, and unedited conversations. The results? Well, more people got to know what they truly stood for and got to see more of their human side.
Democrats have become like a royal family that, because of so much incest, has unfortunately had children who are retarded. And the same thing can happen to ideas if they are also conceived in an atmosphere of intellectual incest. Maybe take the clothespins off your noses and actually converse with the other half of the country. Stop screaming at people to get with the program and instead make a program worth getting with.
Living in a bubble is the left's comfort zone, and their obsession with the activist mentality keeps them firmly planted there. Inside this bubble, their ideas bounce around without being challenged and amplified like minded voices until they become unquestionable truths within their circles. The problem with this is that the more often than not, these narratives have zero connection to real-world issues. It's a self-reinforcing loop. Someone proposes a grand idealistic idea, and instead of asking tough questions, everyone piles on with the applause. An echo chamber roars in agreement, and suddenly that idea becomes gospel. Outside the bubble, though, people are rolling their eyes and worrying about skyrocketing grocery bills, national security, or their kids' education, in addition to voting for their political opponents, of course, hoping that common sense would be restored. I'd love to know your thoughts, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And by the way, if you want your friends to be as informed as you are with this epic rant, please share this video with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.